I recently got the new Dr. Pen M9, and in today's video we are going to take a look at how this differs from previous models, and I'm also going to try it for the first time with you doing a medical microneedling treatment. I often get asked, which is the best Dr. Pen model, or which Dr. Pen should I purchase? Technically, they all do the same thing. They create tiny little micropunctures in the skin, which in cosmetic needling leads to better product absorption. In medical microneedling leads to more collagen and elastin production. And by the way, if you're new to microneedling and you're not familiar with the difference between cosmetic and medical microneedling, I have several videos on that subject, which I will all link down below. In fact, I have a whole playlist on microneedling, which I will also link down below. But technically, all the Dr. Pen models do the same thing. Again, they create microtraumas in the skin. But of course, over time, they have gotten more advanced and more user-friendly. For example, the last few Dr. Pen models, I believe starting with the M8S, are chargeable with a USB-C cable, rather than each Dr. Pen model using a different cable or different charger, and so on. But let's take a look at what makes the M9 special. So they say the new Dr. Pen M9 stands out as a next-generation microneedling device due to its smart needle depth adjustment system and an intelligent chip system that verifies genuine cartridges. Like I said, I am going to try this for the first time with you in just a second. So we are going to take a closer look at everything I just read. But basically, on the older Dr. Pen models, the depth of penetration had to be dialed in on a little dial right here, which was often barely readable. Versus the M9 has, as they call it, a first-of-its-kind system that allows users to switch between depths effortlessly. And the intelligent chip safety system is a built-in technology that recognizes genuine cartridges, preventing the use of unsafe fake cartridges. So basically, the M9 can only be used with authentic cartridges. I actually think that is a smart idea because I have seen fake cartridges and it's not pretty. Some of them have bent needles. Imagine using a cartridge with bent needles. That would not be good. And talking about cartridges, the M9 comes with 18-pin cartridges, 36-pin cartridges, and nano cartridges. Now, according to Dr. Pen, the M9 cartridges use superfine needles with a needle gauge of 34, or depending on which website you look at, between 0.16 to 0.18 millimeters in diameter. And these superfine needles are supposed to lessen discomfort and trauma. I did try to look up which needle gauge the M8S and the BioPen Q2 use, but unfortunately neither of them disclose needle gauge. But according to Dr. Pen, the BioPen Q2 also uses superfine needles with approximately 0.15 to 0.18 millimeters in diameter, and the M8S with 0.18 millimeters in diameter. So I'm not sure if the needles in the M9 cartridges are indeed finer than these other two models. But again, according to Dr. Pen, the M9 cartridges feature ultrafine needles, which are among the thinnest in the consumer market. The cartridges also have a backflow prevention membrane, which basically means if one needles in a serum, the serum can't run into the pen. And then lastly, the M9 has a 3-slot connect-snap design. And this is said to provide a more stable connection, prevent wobbling, and improve needle vertical stability. Oh, and the M9 also comes with a stand, which is nice. So you can rest it between treatment and avoid cross-contamination. All right, let's put it to the test. I double cleansed my face, neck, and chest, and I also wiped my skin down with some hypochlorous acid. My hands are clean, of course, as well, but I do have some alcohol right here, as well as some gauze pads, just in case I need to wipe down my hands or anything else in between my treatment. I have already applied the Calcium Professional Serum, which I've always said I like what it does for my skin when I use it for cosmetic or medical needling, but that I hate the smell. However, the last few bottles I've used of this have had 0 scent, which is interesting. I did try to look up if they changed the formulation, but I couldn't find anything. But like I said, the last few bottles I have used of this have had 0 scent, which is really nice. I have my pen here, of course, as well as an 18-pin cartridge. So one thing I've already learned, I just briefly glanced at the instructions. I wanted to figure this out with you. But what I learned earlier is that if there is no cartridge in the pen, it does not turn on. It gives you a red light. Now, first I thought I didn't charge it well enough, but you can see that the battery is full. So if there is no cartridge in the pen, or I'm assuming if the cartridge is a fake cartridge, it won't turn on. So let me turn it off again and put a cartridge in here. Goes in super easy. And then, oh, this is nice. It sort of locks in place, so it feels really secure. All right, let's turn it on. Okay, so now it's given me a green light. And then, with all the other doctor pens, you dial in the depth of penetration on a little dial, which is always really hard to see. But this one, you just press a button right here, and then you have the digital display. And you can choose your depth of penetration, which is really nice, makes it so much easier. Because every time, usually when I do a treatment, because I do change depth of penetration depending on the area I work on, I have to then get my glasses, dial it in. So this is so much easier. So I'm going to actually go 1 millimeter deep right now on my cheeks, and we will see how that goes. I'm going to rest my pen right here. I do like this. I like that it has a little stand to rest it. That's nice. I don't know if it turns off when it gets put on here, so we'll find out. I'm a little bit nervous because I have no idea what this is going to feel like. So again, this is an 18-pin cartridge. I'm going to take the top off. This is nice. It feels really nice and secure. All right. So I'm assuming, since there are only 2 buttons, I can't talk, that the same button that turns it on, yeah, actually adjusts the speed. So 1, 2, no, that is 2. I look like a 5. Let's see how high it goes. 5. Oh, that is, okay, so it has 6 speeds. All right. I'm going to put it on 3 right now and see how that goes. Okay, like I said, I'm a little bit nervous, but I have a mirror right here in case I'm not looking at you. Oh, that is not bad at all. That actually doesn't feel bad at all. It's quite interesting to me how the different models have different, not how to put it, feel differently as far as pain. I've always said that the Biopen Q2 feels the least painful to me versus the M8S feels the most painful to me. This one, I would say, feels like the Biopen Q2. So at 1 millimeter right now, you can see I'm not flinching or anything. It feels totally fine. And as always, I am using a stamping technique just because I feel that that's a bit safer, less possible risk of micro tears. That's just my opinion. I've used the stamping technique now for probably the last year, and I've had really good results with it. It is a bit tedious. It does take longer than gliding the pen or doing circles. But I do this every 4 to 6 weeks. It's okay if it takes a bit longer. So yeah, this does not feel painful at all. I'm going to dial it up just a tiny bit just to see what happens. I'm going to go, I like that you can dial this in. So it just went from 1 to 1.2 to 1.4 and now 1.6. So I guess I can't go 1.5. So it jumps up by 2 until it gets to 2.2 and then it jumps right to 2.5. So I'm going to go to 1.4 and see how that goes. So I hope it just made sense. When you dial it, I'll show you. When you dial in the depth, it jumps by 2. So it went from 1.4 to 1.6 to 1.8. .2, 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to go, it's hard to see it in reverse, I'm going to go to 1.4 and see how that goes. That really is not bad at all. I would say this is less discomfort than the BioPen Q2. I'm wondering if the needle gauge is just a bit finer, and that's why. But yeah, this is really not bad at all. It's interesting because I'm not sure if you can hear this. Every time I lift it, it makes a sound, kind of like a clicking sound, almost as if the cartridge is not in all the way, but it is completely secured. So I think it's just the needles jutting in and out, or I'm not sure what it is, but it's not the cartridge. The cartridge is completely secured. I did check earlier when I heard that sound first because I thought maybe the cartridge isn't in all the way, but this is probably the most secure any cartridge I can't talk, any cartridge has felt so far on a Dr. Pen. Yeah, at 1.4, this is really not, it's not even uncomfortable. It's pretty incredible. I will probably speed up this section right now just to not bore you. But when I get to around my mouth, we will see how that feels, because that's usually, for me at least, the most painful area to treat. As always, of course, I'm not going past the orbital bone. I will treat my under eye area separately, but not at this depth. So now I'm going to go vertically. This is so interesting. I'm not sure the microphone picks it up, but the sound, again, it kind of goes click, 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 almost as if the cartridge is sort of shaking around in here, but it really isn't. It is completely secured. So it's interesting. But as far as discomfort, this is nothing. I'm going 1.4 millimeters deep right now. You can see I'm definitely getting some pinpoint bleeding and some nice erythema, but it is not uncomfortable at all. All right, let's see. All right, so it does not turn off when you put it on the stand like the BioPen Q2, but I am done with this cheek. You can see I have some nice erythema. Let me take this off so it's not too annoying. I have some nice erythema as well as some pinpoint bleeding, but the discomfort was very, very minimal at 1.4 millimeters depth, which is quite impressive. I'm going to do this side now before I go around my mouth. All right, so you can see I definitely have some nice erythema as well as some pinpoint bleeding. However, again, the discomfort level is, I would say, very minimal, which is really nice and quite impressive. But let's see what happens when I treat around my mouth, because again, that is usually the area that is the most painful. So I'm going to turn it on again at a, let's see, 3 as far as the speed. And let's stay with 1.4 around the mouth and see what happens. A little nervous, let's see. This is really not bad at all. I was saying that the Biopen Q2 was my favorite because it was the least uncomfortable. But this one, you can see I'm not even flinching. I'm even leaving it on there for a second and I'm not even flinching. So that is really impressive. This is usually the area where I'm just like getting tears in my eyes, and the area I'm not looking forward to treating at all. But not bad at all. Now I'm not going on my lips, but I do want to get really close to my vermilion border because I want to treat these pesky lip lines. I have tried so many things for these lip lines. First of all, because I'm not wild about them, but secondly, because so many of you have asked me, could I try different treatments? So I actually have a video coming up talking about all the different things I have tried for vertical lip lines, which ones were useless and which ones actually helped. So stay tuned for that one. I am so impressed how this is really, I mean, it's not like a massage, but it's not painful at all. I can do this and talk to you without flinching, without getting tears in my eyes. So that is quite impressive. I think this has already overtaken the Biopen Q2 as far as being my favorite, just because of the even lesser discomfort level. And I do like how easy it is to dial in the depths of penetration. Like I said, the other ones I always had to put my glasses on and make sure that I can see it. Let's do the chin, which is not usually my favorite part either. Again, not bad at all. All right, again, not bad at all. I am now going to dial it in at 0.5 if it lets me. I don't think it does. I think it only goes 0.2, 0.4, and 0.6. That's okay. That millimeter is not going to make a difference. And I'm going to do my forehead. All right, the eyebrows are not that comfortable. They never are. Even going at 0.2 millimeters when I cosmetic needle, the eyebrows are never comfortable. They just sort of, it's between a pain and tickling, and it makes my nose run and makes me want to sneeze. But I like to go over my eyebrows because, like everybody else in the 90s, I overplucked them. And while they have come back some, I wouldn't mind if they came back a bit more. So I have to say on the forehead, at 0.6, it's not painful, but it's not any less uncomfortable than any of the other Dr. pens. Here it definitely was. On the forehead, it feels kind of the same discomfort level. I wouldn't say it's a pain. It's just that there is nothing here but skin and bone, which is why I'm not going very deep. And it just never feels that great. You can see my eyes are tearing. So yeah, the forehead doesn't feel great. But it never does with any of the other Dr. pens either. Oh, all right, eyebrow. Oh, I do feel this is almost a bit more sensitive actually on the forehead than the other ones. It's making me sneeze like crazy. I'm going to turn it down actually to 0.4 and see what happens. It's interesting because, again, everywhere else it was nothing. Oh, that does help. Okay, 0.4 is better. Sorry, my nose is running. That is interesting. Everywhere else it felt, I was almost going to say great. Not great, but very little discomfort. Versus the forehead, for some reason, I do feel that this one might feel a bit more uncomfortable. All right, forehead done. So that was interesting. Everywhere else, again, the discomfort was much less, I feel, than any of the other Dr. Pens I have used. But on my forehead, sorry, my nose is so runny now. On my forehead, I definitely felt more discomfort for some reason. At 0.6 for sure. When I went to 0.4, it was a bit better. Usually I go 0.5 on my forehead, but again, this only lets me jump by 0.2 millimeters every time. So going to 0.4 was a little better, but I still felt that it was quite uncomfortable on the forehead. So that's interesting. Forehead more uncomfortable, everywhere else less uncomfortable. All right, now I'm going to wipe down my hands real fast because I'm going to treat under my eyes. And for that, I'm going to dial this in at, well, usually I go 0.25. So I'm going to go at 3 speed and I'm going to dial it in at 0.2 and see how that goes. So 0.2, again, sorry, my nose is runny now from treating my forehead. 0.2 at a 3 speed. I'm going to take my clean fingers, very gently pull down the skin here so that I can get a bit closer to my lash line. And 0.2 feels plenty deep. It does feel as if the needles in this cartridge penetrate a bit better. Obviously not deeper because I dial in the depths of penetration, but they seem to go in there beautifully. So 0.2 feels plenty deep. In fact, even at 0.2 you can see I got a tiny bit of pinpoint bleeding. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I had to grab this little one. She's getting really antsy, but luckily I'm done. I will do my neck and chest as well, but I will do that off camera. But as you can see, I have some nice erythema as well as some pinpoint bleeding. So my first impression, I loved this pen until I got to my forehead. Like I said, I was really positively surprised how little discomfort I felt going 1.4 millimeters deep on my cheeks and especially around my mouth and my chin, which is usually, again, the area that is quite uncomfortable, especially going that deep. But once I got to my forehead, strangely going 0.6 millimeters deep felt quite uncomfortable. It felt really sensitive. You saw me sneeze a few times. Once I went to 0.4 millimeters, it was better, though still quite uncomfortable, to be honest. I would say more uncomfortable than using the BioPen Q2 going 0.5 millimeters deep, which is what I usually do on my forehead. So that's interesting. Less discomfort down here, more discomfort up here. Aside from that, I do like that it comes with a stand, though it would be nice if the pen would pause when put in the stand, like the BioPen Q2. I also really like that the depth of penetration is dialed in right here. It makes it so much easier to change depths of penetration during treatment rather than having to dial it in on a tiny dial which is barely readable. The only thing that could be even better is that if rather than it jumping by 0.2 millimeters, it would be adjustable by just 0.1 millimeter. but that is a tiny detail, a 0.1 millimeter detail. So I really like this pen. I'm excited to continue using it. I will try cosmetic needling with it as well as nano needling, and I will keep you posted. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it was helpful. I would love to know, have you tried this pen? If so, how do you like it? Or do you have a favorite doctor pen? Let us know down below. Any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I always love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, bye. I wanted to show you what my skin looked like the next day so you can see what sort of downtime I had. Now, this is usually the kind of downtime I get after medical microneedling, but what I found interesting is that my forehead looked just as red and irritated as the rest of my face. And again, I went much more shallow on my forehead. So I'm not sure what it is with this pen about my forehead, why it was so much more sensitive, and why it looks just as red and irritated as the rest of my face. But like I said, I will continue using this pen, not just for medical needling, but I will also try cosmetic and nano needling with it, and I will keep you posted.